who abandoned their core audience and paid the price for it. Animal Planet. Their tagline became surprisingly human. Nobody wants to watch Animal Planet for people. They have other channels. All those channels converged on the same bottom-of-the-barrel reality show drivel. Animal Planet surprisingly human. History Channel history is made every day. Either reality TV or stuff like Hitler's Aztec UFO factory. The obsession History Channel had with UFOs to the point all their shows were either about them or that Pawn Shop show was hilarious. Cracked.com, there were a couple years there where they transformed from a second-rate mad knockoff to some of the smartest, funniest stuff on the internet. Then the people who held the purse strings decided listicles and Photoshop contests were more profitable than a writing staff. Jason Parton, aka former Cracked writer and executive editor David Wong, wrote a retrospective about how the greed kinda seeped in, and they'd monetize a little bit and the readership numbers held, so they'd monetize a little bit more, and the numbers held, and a little bit more and just a little bit more until readers hit a breaking point because it was no longer worth it. Daniel O'Brien went on and writes for John Oliver now. Cody Johnston and Katie Stoll are doing the Some More News channel, which is still going strong. Soren Bowie, I think, writes for American Dad. A few of the other guys started different Patreons for stuff. That site is like a dead mole now. It's so sad. Wow, I just went back for the first time in at least a decade. Completely unrecognizable. I wrote a few unique life experience articles for them 13 years ago. They really looked into verifying my story and then finally gave me the go-ahead. After that I had my foot in the door and wrote a few more articles, but they would always verify the facts. My little cousin wrote an article for them not long ago. First off, he got paid less than I did 13 years ago, but they didn't verify shit. My cousin was being honest, but they never verified anything he said. Seems anyone can come along and just say whatever now. Stumble upon. It was a small website giving you randomized internet pages which I used to browse for hours as they were so fun. Now it turned into Mix and I have no clue what it is. Pretty sure no one uses it and it makes me sad. I miss that site. I moved to Reddit once they changed. I used to get so much entertainment and information from there. I really want a new version. SU is how I found Reddit. Reddit was still a baby at that time. 3-letter usernames were still available. Photobucket. Back when forums were still a thing, Photobucket would host your images for free. Then one day they decided everyone would have to pay monthly, no free tier, nothing. We all collectively agreed we would not be paying, and that was that. I feel like it may have contributed to the death of forums. Ruined a few of my car build threads, that's for sure. To this day they still send me emails a couple times a year threatening to delete all my photos if I don't come back. In a similar vein I was going to say Flickr. Flickr could have been Instagram. It was primed and right there. But Yahoo took forever to make a halfway decent mobile app and then tried to charge for it. All you had to say was "but Yahoo." Forums are absolutely littered with Photobucket and tiny-pic placeholders for shit we can't see anymore. Makes me wonder what will happen to places on Reddit if Imager ever goes the same way. Imager did do this, removed a bunch of NSFW images as well as any that were uploaded without an account. Go to any NSFW sub, sort by best over past year, and see how many of the links are working. GIFCat is also dead. YIKYAK, it was a way to have conversations with people in the area anonymously, really popular on college campuses. They made an update to create user profiles and pretty much everyone just stopped using it because anonymity was the whole point. YIKYAK's rise and fall coincided perfectly with my first year of university. It was brilliant. The real genius move was making it location specific. Every campus ended up with their own running jokes and local celebrities. I went to Sheffield and we had a chap known as the Morgazoid who shot to fame through his friends chronicling his attempt to write his entire dissertation in a single day. Happy times. I was never entirely sure of the rationale behind forcing people into having usernames. There was speculation it was to avoid legal trouble surrounding bullying, but I don't know whether that was ever substantiated. Whatever happened, they killed the golden goose. I was also in my first year at university at that time. YIKYAK was used to make several mass violence threats on campus. Wouldn't be surprised if that had something to do with making profiles. This is incredibly niche, but in Norway there used to be two providers of chocolate powder, the kind you mix with hot or cold milk to make hot chocolate or chocolate milk. They were a boy brand and Nesquik, equally loved and enjoyed a healthy fan-base rivalry. A boy is a Swedish product sold in Scandinavia and the Baltics since the 50s. Nesquik is of course Nestle brand and sold all over the world. Sometime in the 2010s Nesquik decided to change the formula of the choco powder, I imagine to save money. And for making hot chocolate the new recipe was fine. What Nestle underestimated, however, is that most Scandinavians drink their choco powder cold to make chocolate milk. The new recipe had a different type of sugar in it that wouldn't dissolve in cold milk, leaving a crunchy powder in the milk. Norwegians outraged, Nesquik was deemed useless, nearly everyone in the Nesquik camp migrated to a boy, and Nestle lost almost all its market share overnight. A few months later, Nesquik has gone from the shelves nearly everywhere, never to recover from the blunder. Edit, now I see they are discontinuing the Nesquik powder globally, so I guess nobody likes it anymore. Isn't it just crazy how companies will fundamentally change a really successful product just to save probably a few cents? It's like every suit only knows the story of the airline that made $200,000 by removing olives from their salad, and they want to do the same. Nestle should be boycotted anyway. So this is good news. Sci-Fi Channel. At some point there was no sci-fi on it. Used to love Sci-Fi Channel. I feel like the content went downhill right around the time they changed their name to Sci-Fi, which is also when I stopped watching. When Sci-Fi rebranded to Sci-Fi, I changed the pronunciation at my house. I pronounce Sci-Fi as Sci-Fi. They rebranded to Sci-Fi and started showing those crappy CGI Monster of the Week movies. All horrible. Definitely drove me away. That channel used to be the one I had my TV on most of the time. I remember watching Farscape, Stargate and Eureka on that network. No idea what's in there anymore. Haven't had cable for over 13 years now. Etsy. Used to be a fairly cool place to buy and sell mostly handcrafted stuff and items to make handcrafted stuff. Now it's basically shady Amazon with worse shipping. Everyone seems to be drop shippers, and a lot of the more niche craft or artisan things are pushed out and overwhelmed by cheaper, mass-produced goods. I used to love Etsy and now I never even look there. I bought a set of dice about a year ago that were explicitly listed as being handmade in the US. Then I got a tracking number from China. Radio Shack. They went from selling electronic components, little gadgets, and interesting tech baubles to nerds to trying to sell expensive cell phone plans and shitty batteries to a different audience. We saw that the customers who came to Radio Shack shifted from middle-upper income engineers and tech geeks to lower-income people in a 6-year period. Then we saw the geeks stop coming in at all because they would come in for some capacitor or breadboard and the person there wouldn't know what that was. If it wasn't a phone, they didn't know. Even if it was a phone, they probably couldn't tell you anything about it. Old Radio Shack employees were knowledgeable and well paid. New Radio Shack employees didn't give a shit about technology. You've got questions? We've got blank stares. Every restaurant that opens in the UK goes through the cycle. New and interesting food, very different from most British food, becomes very popular. Owners sell to a large company. Large company decides that being popular isn't enough. They want everybody to eat there. Make the food more British. Looming failure is hidden for a while because they attract new customers at exactly the rate they lose old customers. New customers have tried it, realize they can get that food anywhere, stop going. Chain closes and is replaced by a Greg's or Nando's, depending on the size of the location, not dependent on how far away the nearest Greg's or Nando's is. What typically happens around me in the Midwest US. This is why everywhere around us are just gross shit food chains. New place opens with great quality food at decent prices. Things are going well for the first year. I don't know who or why, but they start to slowly modify one thing after another to increase profit margins. One thing they changed affects what you normally get and what you liked most about the place. They continue to do it to the point that it happens to everyone. People don't hate it, but they aren't going there as much because they took X off the menu or they changed Y, and it's just not the same. Prices go up to increase margins due to lower sales. Quality goes down to increase margins due to lower sales. Death spiral until you become a spirit. Halloween. Quora. There were excellent groups with intelligent discussions. Then it became monetized and people submitted hundreds of questions a day. What time does the Walmart close in Boise? My 16-year-old came home with an ace, so I took away their phone for 6 months. Not just that, they made it really difficult to navigate the website. Now you go on to look at an answer to a specific question, you might see one answer that isn't super helpful, then it'll show you an entirely different question with a few answers with no different formatting, and then eventually you scroll down to find more answers to the question you were looking for, except for a long time I'd assumed there were no more answers and just clicked off the site. Absolutely stupid system. Little website called Dig did a major site refresh to increase site revenue without considering the impact and lost their entire user base to Reddit essentially overnight. That's how I moved to Reddit. I moved from FARK, which seemed to be dying, and on the advice that Reddit threads were like FARK comment threads, but more intelligent and mature. About 12 to 13 years later, Reddit is now 50% a daycare center for difficult children, while FARK is somehow still around and completely unchanged. Thank you for watching. In the comments below the video, tell us who you know who abandoned their core audience and paid the price.